What's going on? Been a while. How you been? Quick one today. Well, not so quick. We'll see. Silence, I'll bang on about silence, solitude, introspection, going within, reflection. Should make them more hashtags, to be honest. It's amazing how much value society, 80 to 90% of the population, put a value on material gains, possessions, and physical health and sensation. What do I mean? I mean, whatever you can see, touch and smell is what's important, and the rest, if you can't see it, you can't see it. If you can't smell it, or you can't hear it, or you can't touch it, doesn't matter. So people will go to the gym, lose some weight, they'll eat healthy, they'll get an education, get smart. So they feed their minds, they feed their bodies, and it stops there. Then they further go on to the touchables, the tangibles, the things that they wake up to every day, and they put a value on that as being the most important. So the TV, the house, the car, whatever it is, they'll say, okay, that's important. I need to do this to get that. So they need to go and work and to get the tangible, shiny object. That's all good. I'm not against it. You want to live well. Absolutely. You want to be happy. You want to have cool stuff. You want to make sure that life is, you're experiencing life to the highest degree. Absolutely. But what about feeding your soul? Right? Feeding your soul has to be the cornerstone, the backbone, the spine of who I am, the happiness that I feel, the philosophy that I live by, everything that abundantly and positively came my way, only came my way because I learned the skill of prioritizing solitude and silence, quietness, aloneness. And yes, I still feed my mind, feed my body, create somewhat of abundant, tangible items in my life. Not, the only thing that I could say that I care about in terms of material matter, is my bikes. I like to ride really good bikes. So I get involved with it as well. I play the game of life and go down that path. But it's in balance. No, it's not. I feed my soul just as much as I feed my body and my mind. But I always know that if something's off, if I'm attracting bad situations into my life, if I'm not happy, if I'm stressed, if the outside of what I wake up to every single day isn't reflecting what I want in a day-to-day moment, I just know that my soul's not being fed. My soul's not being fed, because if it was being fed, all that takes care of itself. How? Why is that so important, you say? how can you not want to get to know yourself, right? How can you not want to really know who you are on every level? What you like, what you dislike, your preferences, everything that makes up the curiosity of a human being, the complexity of being a human. They're fascinating. We are fascinating creatures. The pups are fascinating. The plants are fascinating, yes. But the fact that we can talk and smile and smirk and cry and get angry, and there's a lot of visceral expressions that comes with being a human. It's fascinating. And that's why we are social creatures, because we find each other fascinating. We have sex with each other. We want to feel each other. Like, it's all very sensual. So we want to get to know as many cool people as possible. But little do we know that we can feel ourselves just the same. In every level, every capacity. One of the greatest gifts that I'm glad I signed up for before I was entered into this body is that I learned that skill, because it is a skill, because it's not easy to sit on your own, sit in the silence and to feel the tension, if there's tension in your body, to watch the thoughts go by if they haven't been watched ever, if you haven't ever taken stock take of your mind and how it operates. It can be confronting on how judgmental and negative and pessimistic it naturally becomes if you don't put that as a priority. So initially it is tough to feed your soul. To feed your soul, the only nutrition the soul needs is silence. That's the only way it gets fed. The body, if you don't feed it enough calories and or enough micronutrients, it deteriorates. It gets sick. It creates inflammation. And inflammation leads to disease. So we develop ulcers and cancers and arthritis and this and that if we don't feed the body. So then we take medication and we do our best to cover it up. And we're happy to see the link between exercise and nutrition with the health of our physical body. Some people take it seriously and change their lifestyle to accommodate, to prioritize their physical health. But others don't, because there's other priorities in life. Some people mentally feed themselves well. Each day they learn something new. They get new perspective from books and documentaries and talking, having fulfilling conversations that are deep and enriching and profound. And they feed their minds that way. That's how the mind gets fed, by going deep and having true, honest, raw conversations, or having true, raw, honest information be consumed. That's how you feed the mind. Some people don't really prioritize that. Part of feeding the mind also is linked to the soul of being quiet and allowing the patterns, the habitual thoughts play out, so that it gives you an opportunity to see them instead of thinking them and then feeling them and then saying them, right? That's how you reprogram your psychology. There's no magic tricks or anything. You need to slow the thoughts down so you can see, do they align with my real self? Are they what I really think? Is that really serving me, that thought? You can't have that objective point of view about what your thoughts are if they just come in and you're saying them, if they just come in and you're believing them, if they just come in and it's the truth. You can't have an objective view of your thoughts unless they slow down. And you can't slow your thoughts down unless you get silent, unless you are free from distraction, unless you turn off the TV, unless you turn off the radio, unless you tell everyone to get effed if they want to meet you for a cup of coffee. You clear out the calendar, create the environment to just watch the thoughts go by. Some people call that meditation. I just call it being a healthy human who prioritizes their mental health. But the main topic, agenda of today's video, just because it was fresh with one of the brothers that I have it's cool to work with men. I've got a brother that's come on board, and I love working with women. For some reason, that's just 90% of my clientele is female. But when a brother comes on, it's invigorating, because I know a fair bit about the female and the yin, basically because naturally I am very feminine, but biologically I'm a male, and it's cool to work with males. And what we discussed, one of the things we discussed this morning was the soul needs to be fed. There's no two ways around it. And it's bread and butter, right? You like that? The soul's bread and butter is silence. It's nothingness. It's no thoughts, nothing. Just you and just watching the clouds go by, the clouds of the thoughts, the actual clouds, and the clouds of tension, of emotions that are oh so present. If you get rid of the distractions, I can guarantee you with the utmost certainty, unless you are killing it, in joy, in bliss, found your inner peace, this won't apply to you. But if you haven't got constant inner peace, this will apply to you. The silence will reveal in every single one of you a tension in the back, a tension in the jaw, or a tension in your chest or stomach, which some people refer to as emotions. Some people think they can't feel emotions. Some people think that they don't have any negative emotions. Yeah? Is that right? If you don't have inner peace, you have negative emotions. Negative isn't the right word. You have the yang to the yin of happiness emotions, of inner peace emotions. If you don't have the inner peace, you most definitely have the opposite of that inside you, but you cover them up with coffee, you cover them up with alcohol, cigarettes, you cover them up with workaholism, you cover them up with social gatherings, you cover them up with Channel 7, you cover them up. If you don't have the inner peace, you're covering up tension in the body. And when you take away the distractions that I just mentioned and you bring your awareness into the body, you will start to see, yeah, he's right. There's some tension down there. And then that tension, if you breathe into it, and there's nothing metaphysical about that. All I mean by that is that you feel the tension in your back of your shoulders, in your chest, wherever it is. You breathing into it is merely just taking your awareness to it. And just like you flex your bicep, you can unflex your bicep. And taking awareness to tightness, to tension in the body, releases it. And releasing tension releases emotions that are creating the tension. If my bicep was constantly flexed, I'd be worried. I'd be asking questions. Why am I cramping? People call that cramps. Oh, you got a salt deficiency. Your potassium levels are out of whack. Yes, that is true. But tension in the body is emotional tension When you get scared and fearful, you tense up, tension. So if you've got guilt, shame, frustration, anger, any of the above, you're going to have tension. And to get rid of that tension for good, you release it by breathing into it, by taking awareness to it, and then learning and letting the emotions play out, letting the time and the space to let that uncomfortable tension release itself in the form of emotions is what we call them. And you don't have to be afraid of them. You don't have to be scared of them. You don't have to be afraid of relapsing. Just let them, just feel it. No matter how uncomfortable it is, we're human beings, we're brave, we're strong, we're courageous. We have all these things innate. Innate means internal strengths, internal capabilities to deal with the emotions that are coming up. We wouldn't be put on to the earth to feel emotions if we didn't have the capabilities to deal with them. So suck it up and feel the freaking emotions. And that only happens in the silence when you allow space. You prioritize 3 to 4 times a week. I said to my brother, at least half an hour, 3 to 4 times a week, just unplug from the work, unplug from the emails, unplug from the girlfriend, just unplug and just sit in the silence. And if anything comes up, feel it, don't judge it, don't analyze it, just let the body do what it wants to do. And as you start to do this, you'll start to get insights. You'll start to get little pieces of golden nuggets start falling from the sky. And those nuggets, they're like going down, and it's Easter, and you start seeing Easter eggs, and you're like, okay, I'm going to keep going this way because I've got Easter eggs. But when you prioritize feeding the soul through silence, you start to get golden nuggets that take you towards happiness, that take you towards inner peace. Yes, you may still feel depression and anxiety or anger and frustration or a lack of compassion or a lack of whatever it is. But as you start moving and picking up these golden nuggets, even though they may be uncomfortable here and there, you start the path, the journey to becoming the best version of yourself, to feeling inner peace. That is the goal. I'll go to the grave saying that the whole reason why we're here is to feel inner peace. It's to be corrupted, to feel the yang, to go through the hardship of conditioning and the loneliness and the boredom and the depression and the assault and all the abuse and psychological, mental and emotional abuse that we've experienced in every single one of us. We go through that. We get corrupted. We get dealt a bad set of cards on purpose for the reason of being a human. And then the whole point of being here is to feel that yang so that we can then move towards the yin and appreciate the true balance that it is to be a human. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. That is the point of living as far as I'm concerned. You can put in all your Ferraris and fancy mountain bikes in the process, because I am as well. Don't worry about that. I'm playing the game of being an egotistic human and wanting possessions and whatnot. Absolutely, don't get me wrong. But the internal fulfillment, the internal bliss, that's the whole point. And being corrupted from when we get out of the womb, and then figuring out the process to figuring out who we really are, to find holism, to become whole. That's the purpose, because there's a lot of fulfillment that comes when you figure it out. And there's a lot of sense of humor that is released when you figure the whole shit out, because you're like, oh, this was just one big game. Why did I make it so complicated? Why did I think it was so real? Right? You don't need science to tell you that, the couch and everything's just protons and atoms and neurons and everything's just energy and nothing's real, and you don't need science to tell you that. When you figure out your own psychology, you figure out all the traps and all the corruptions and all the delusions that our ego tries to manipulate with, when you figure out that that's just a game, and then you figure out that you've become whole by feeling the emotions that were trying to guide you from the beginning, that you feel the depths of however much sorrow there is and pain and whatever, when you figured out that that's the key to feeling the best that you've ever felt, you realise that we're just in a Nintendo, a PlayStation. We're figurines with a joystick, and we're the ones playing our own joystick. That's the best part about it. And we are the gods. Let me repeat that. We are the gods. Jaxie boy, he's a god. Luna over there is a god. The couch, a god. Stick that in your pipe and smoke that one as well. How are we gods? We are gods because we're all the same, right? We've all got some kind of consciousness that's watching the watcher. You know, we see what's around us, but then we can actually watch who's seeing it as well. We believe that we're the thinker, but we can watch the thoughts, who's thinking them. You touch something, but you can also watch yourself touching it as well. There's a consciousness in us. There's a consciousness in the dog. There's a consciousness in the plants. The consciousness is God. And let me tell you something. From my short experience of living this little cool life that I've lived so far, that consciousness is very smart. It's very smart. And you look at the sacred geometry and all these, mathematical equations all equaling the same thing, and the beautiful images that come from the mathematical equations. And there's a very, very big intelligence to this consciousness. Let me tell you that. And if you are that intelligence, what the fuck are you doing with it? Right? And if you are that consciousness, that intelligence, why do you think that you don't deserve to tap into the abundance that this intelligence has created in the first place? Put that one in your pipe, right? What makes you think you can't have that? If you're made up of everything else, of other people who are tapping into that abundance, why the fuck aren't you doing the same thing? But no, we get corrupted, we get deluded that being a god is egotistical, it's maniacal. You don't want to be seen as that person who's calling himself a god or herself a god, because you'll be thrown out of the group. The tribe won't want you anymore because you're too egotistical. Or if the tribe is what you want to be a part of, is it working for you right now? No, it's not. So you're best to change your psychology about who you really are and accept that you are a god, and that if you want to play by those rules, that you are part of this whole collective consciousness is what they call it, then you better start acting that way. You better start behaving like you do want to be part of that frequency of abundance and positivity and peace and bliss and all that stuff. It's all the same shit. Your behaviors in the sense of, okay, the way you think, the way you feel, the respect you have for yourself with the people you hang around with, the respect you have with yourself with the job that you go to. If that shit isn't congruent with your soul, which is the collective consciousness, which is the intelligence that's created the whole damn thing, the intelligence that synchronizes events for you to either show you that hey, this is the roller coaster of life, or B, you just need to learn something before you can jump on the roller coaster. If you tap into that, and if your job isn't congruent with that part of you, which you'll find out in the silence of feeding your soul, if the people in your life aren't congruent with the soul that you feed in the silence of the soul, if none of that shit's congruent, you're never going to get to the abundance. Let me tell you that for a damn fact. I believe by not making videos every single day or trying to make videos because they need to be made, by releasing that part of my deluded ego of wanting to provide you guys good content and being the old Shane just smashing out videos day after. Look, I'm proud of old Shano. He was a dude. He was committed, making videos every day, getting them transcribed and having subtitles, and I was a boss for 8 months there. I'm proud of that dude. But I've evolved from that as well, and I know that quality is much better than quantity. And this little break that I have when I just make videos when I'm inspired gives you good fucking quality shit like you've just watched in the last 26 minutes. I recommend you to rewatch this video over and over again until it gets sunken into your brain that you're a god. Bye.